Hi, how are you?
Scavenger SV-4 is a game about micromanagement. Micromanagement on a timer, that is. Your character's backstory changes with each playthrough, but the gist of things is this. We have a ship, and we took that ship and discovered an uncharted planet in a solar system that's off the beaten path. No one's been here before us, as far as we know, and we're looking to make some money. The problem is that this planet is highly irradiated. Even in high orbit, inside of our ship, our character is taking steady radiation damage. Ignore this for long enough and it'll kill you. The idea is to mitigate that radiation damage by using our auto-dock system to heal us. It'll undo some of the damage caused, but it won't fix all of it. So we can only stay here for so long before we need to tap out and take whatever cargo we find back to known space, ending the game and making some money. So how do we explore a planet for valuables when the whole thing is more irradiated than the Fallout series? A rover. We send our mechanical doggo down to the surface and explore until its cargo hold is full of stuff. Then we recall it back up to the ship, unload it, research what we found, make repairs to our rover if needed, then repeat this process until we call it quits. Or until we die of radiation sickness. Now it's important to note that our rover is made up of modules. Each module uses power, and our rover only has so much of that to go around. Turning off systems when you don't need them is crucial to managing our power. Now, while the rover is down on the surface, it might take some damage. You see, this planet isn't as uninhabited as we originally thought. There are several types of robotic constructs wandering around down there, and they aren't friendly. Their projectiles can cause catastrophic damage to our rover. You can lose entire modules this way, and if you lose your manipulator arms, you might as well just end the run right then and there, because once they're gone, you'll have no way to pick up any valuables you find. Upon starting a new game, we have a few options, such as naming our character, picking a gender for them, and customizing our ship's name and paint job. As far as I can tell, none of this affects your run, it's just cosmetics. We start off in bed, facing one of the many display panels in our ship. Our character's journal is up on the screen by default, and we can flip through it to see who our character is and how they wound up here. We can also play a dungeon crawler game, or turn on some music. I always choose to turn the music on because it provides some nice background ambiance. The first thing you should do is familiarize yourself with the ship. There's a lot of rooms and a lot of display panels. I ended up not needing to do much with any of these, but considering that one of them lets you remotely close the doors, and considering that there's an environment suit and an airlock, I'm guessing that not everything you bring up from the surface is inanimate. So it would probably prove beneficial to familiarize yourself with where things are and what they do. Also, in case you were wondering, yes, you can launch yourself out of the airlock and suffocate. I definitely didn't do this on my very first time playing, and I definitely wasn't just expecting the game to prevent me from doing it.
It never happened.
I launched the rover down to the surface and began poking around. Every run has a randomly generated planet surface with random structures and enemies, so no two runs are the same. In theory, anyway. I pilfered a few samples, then wandered off in a random direction. I saw something big in the distance, but I hadn't figured out power management yet. I had way too many modules turned on, so I had to wait for my energy to recharge before heading towards the distant structure. Proceeding, I encountered some enemy robots taking potshots at me. I tried to figure out how to fight back, only to realize that my rover has no weapons. So I bobbed and weaved towards the ruins, dodging enemy fire like a pro, before finally reaching the building and finding a sample inside. After acquiring whatever this thing was, I recalled the rover back to the ship, repaired things, and started researching my discoveries.
You're a scientist. I'm something of a scientist myself.
That research takes a lot of time though, depending on the rarity/condition of the item. So while I waited for that to finish, I launched my freshly duct-taped rover back down to the surface. I found another structure, but couldn't figure out a way to get inside of it. Remember this. So I had to abandon it in search of easier targets. I found a couple of samples, but then I got shot and had to recall back to the ship again. While I waited for my rover to return, I checked my research from earlier. The two basic samples had finished up, and turned out to be a microphone module and a floodlight module. Near as I can tell, this is what the samples in the game are all about. Literally just better equipment for your rover. Some of them are worth a ton of money, and you can just stow them away to sell at the end of your run. Unfortunately, none of the samples were anything that was alive, which is what I was really hoping for from this game. Major missed opportunity in my opinion. Especially, considering the whole environment suit and airlock thing. Just would have been really cool to have to contain some sort of hostile life form in the ship. I tried out the new microphone on my rover to replace the one that I had by default. I then realized that not only does the new one use more power than the original, but it also generates heat, which would be bad for my rover, so I swapped it back to the default microphone and put the new one in the cargo hold for selling. I didn't bother with the floodlight because I can see well enough on the planet's surface without it. I set our new samples up to begin researching them and sent the rover back down to the surface again. This is the entire game loop, by the way. It's fun at first, but it ends up getting super repetitive and boring. This is what I meant about micromanagement. Upon returning to the surface, we got lit up by robots, and I got my map module and manipulator arms blown off. I recalled immediately. You see, the game drops your rover in the same spot that you last took off from, but it gives you the option to reset your landing zone to the original landing area. I didn't use that option because I didn't really think about it, and I paid for it. Fast forward, and I finally used the auto dock and realized that I had severe radiation sickness. I treated myself, then checked my research again. Still not done. I ultimately ended the run due to both the loss of my rover arms and my radiation sickness getting worse. For what it's worth, I ended up with a score of 22,660 points. I don't know if that's good or bad, but there you go. I did a second run, but due to how repetitive this game's gameplay loop is, I'll just give you the bullet points. It was on this run that I realized that the game gives you different backstories for each new game. Flavor. I launched down to the surface and found a sample right off the bat. I found a hole. I got shot at on my way to some ruins, then I discovered that I couldn't find a way into the ruins. Remember this, I found another hole. Apparently there are flying robots in addition to the ground ones. They buzz around you and fire missiles occasionally, but they aren't too much of a hassle. I found a third hole. I'll allow the implications of that to sink in for a second. Then I entered what felt like an active war zone. I was being shot at from every direction it seemed, but somehow I managed to dodge my way through it. For a while at least. The controls and interfaces in this game are a bit clunky. They let you rearrange and rename stuff, which is cool admittedly, but it can also lead to moments like this happening. I recalled, repaired, researched, treated myself, and went back down again. I found stuff. And also things. It turned out that one of the things that I found was a flamethrower of sorts. I tried it out, but it's a power-hungry annoyance, and also really hard to hit flying stuff with. I turned it off. I found more stuff. Another sample that I found ended up being a map with locations marked on it. It didn't show me where I was though, so I didn't bother using it much because I have no idea where this is. A lot of time passed and I ended up just getting kind of bored. Nothing new really happened, just the same loop of launch, find stuff, get shot at, struggle to make it over terrain, recall, repair, medicate my radiation, do it all over again. I ended the run both out of frustration and boredom. I also got a score of 33,077 this time. Yahoo! I waited one real-world day, then gave the game another go. I didn't want to end the video after only 2 runs, and I also really wanted to see this jump scare that the options menu was talking about. I gave my ship a good name, then I got down to business. I launched the rover and found a hole. Excellent. I got a notification that the science lab's computer had gone offline, so I had to float back to engineering and reboot it. A strange occurrence. I recalled the rover after collecting some samples, and I pretended I was a Roomba while I waited for it to return. Unloaded, researched, launched again. I spotted what looked like a tower and began heading towards it. Found a hole along the way, but this one didn't impress me. Too small. The mysterious tower turned out to just be weird terrain geometry. Disappointment. I recalled with some samples. Turns out some of the crap I picked up earlier were 2 weapons and an augmented drive. What's the augmented drive? The augmented drive makes the rover move faster, so I installed it. Long story short, it overloaded things after launch, so I recalled, repaired, and removed the drive. Glad I did that. I once again find myself in an active war zone. I found a red sample, which I think means it's damaged, or rare, I don't know, I researched it. Another stupid computer went offline, so I rebooted it. One of my earlier samples turned out to be another battery, so I installed that one alongside my current battery, and also installed a pulse laser, then launched. I tried engaging the enemies that were guarding a ruin, but my own hubris became my downfall. I got overconfident, and my rover got seriously injured. I still had my manipulators though, so I tried to grab the artifact that was at the ruin. I managed to do so, but then I got blown up. Understandably, I ended the run. Got a score of 20,877. Woohoo! I didn't bother with the name this time. I know you were probably looking forward to that. I removed the compass module, launched, found stuff, got shot, and recalled. In the attack, I lost both my survey map and the microphone. I put the compass back on, reset my landing zone, launched again. Hole, found samples, got shot at, recalled. I got some armor plating at one point, so I put that on, along with a pulse laser that I found. I launched again, tried the laser on what I can only assume is the door of a ruin. It didn't blast it open like I was hoping it would. You can stop remembering now. I wandered off, managed to win a firefight with a robot, checked the corpse and found something. Picked it up, recalled, researched. Whoop-de-doo. The sample from the robot turned out to be a surface map like the one I mentioned a while back. It shows locations marked on a certain area of terrain, but I don't have a survey map to compare it to because it got blown off earlier. I installed the map module anyway, removed the laser for power reasons, and launched. I tried as best as I could to find the location the map module showed. Spoiler alert, I couldn't find it. I accidentally drove the rover into a hole. They've finally become my downfall. I guess I just couldn't resist it. I ended the run. I ran some other runs as well, but I'm not gonna waste your time with them, because nothing really happened, just more of the same. The most interesting thing was when I was floating around the ship, opening doors, and I pretended I was a fish. I got so enthralled by doing this that I forgot to launch the rover and had to go back. In closing, I very much like the overall idea of the game, as well as the aesthetic that it has. Unfortunately, the actual gameplay loop is tedious, repetitive, and ultimately feels unrewarding. On my first two runs of the game, I was fully engrossed in it. I wanted to know more about this planet and the strange things that I was seeing on it. Then I ended up discovering that it's a nothing burger. Unless I'm missing something, which is always likely, you can't enter almost any of the buildings, so there's no real interiors. There's way too many enemies everywhere, which means that any exploration that could have been had quickly turns the game into a bullet hell instead. I can't find any lore entries anywhere that explains anything about the planet or the past civilization either. And on top of it, everything is just completely random. And I'm sure there's plenty of stuff that I didn't see in this game, but I just can't be bothered to slog through more randomly generated maps over and over just to find it. Like again, I was hoping for some lore about the planet, underground tunnels, ruined alien cities, etc. And maybe the game has that, and I just didn't find any of it. Because of the random generation, which is the biggest issue in my opinion. If the developer had made one massive handcrafted map, or even just multiple smaller handcrafted maps, then this would have been an amazing experience. I don't know why they went the randomly generated route, but I really wish they hadn't. For what it is, this game is a firm okay, for me at least. The gameplay mechanics are all there, but it just ends up feeling like a slog of doing the same few actions over and over with no real payoff. And the asking price of 15 USD is far too much in my opinion. $5 would have made more sense to me, but then again, I'm the type of person that feels that most entertainment should be relatively inexpensive or just free, so maybe my pricing is off. I'm glad that I got this on sale. Oh, and by the way, in case you were wondering, yes, you can launch yourself out of the cargo bay airlock as well.